name of one of the most powerful nuclear deterrent weapons. The number of soldiers in Russia's ranks is comparable to that of the United States, and far greater than that of any other NATO member, be it Germany, France, Poland, the United Kingdom, or the three small Baltic states. That's why these European desk warriors make statements not from the strength of their own country's militaries, but from the power of NATO's collective force, an alliance of 32 nations. Where I come from, we call that ganging up. They like to fight not 5 against 1, not 10 against 1, but 32 against 1. That's precisely why Russia has been modernizing its deterrence, or offensive, capabilities for several years now. And the missile Putin recently unveiled has left Brussels and the Pentagon completely on edge. Not long ago, the word burevestnik in Russia was synonymous with a delicious national chocolate candy. Nature lovers also knew it as the name of a family of seabirds that live in cold regions. But recently, the meaning of the Russian word burevestnik has changed drastically, not only in Russia, but all over the world, because it's now the name of a new, super powerful, nuclear-capable weapon designed to deter Russia's greatest enemies, with features that seem straight out of science fiction. As you may have heard, on October 21st, Russia launched a test missile that covered a distance of 14,000 kilometers and stayed in the air for 15 hours. Yes, dear friends, this Russian nuclear-capable missile kept flying for 15 hours. This is possible thanks to its propulsion system, powered by a nuclear reactor that allows it to remain airborne not only for hours, as in the recent test, but for days, weeks, or even months, according to U.S. sources. Now imagine the enemy watching a bird missile flying across their radar, dodging every defense system, with no idea where it's headed. The most terrifying aspect of this new Russian missile is that it can carry nuclear warheads. This gives it numerous advantages. Aside from being nearly impossible to intercept or shoot down, the missile can attack from unexpected directions. Burevestnik is no longer just a candy or a seabird. It's now the Russian Federation. President Vladimir Putin called the successful October 21st test a demonstration of the reliability of Russia's nuclear shield and described the missile as a unique product, unmatched in the world. He added that Russia must identify potential uses for the missile and begin preparing the infrastructure for its deployment in the armed forces. Putin had previously declared that the missile has unlimited range and is invulnerable to all existing and future anti-missile and anti-air defense systems. In other words, if U.S. defense systems can't shoot it down today, they won't be able to tomorrow either. Not even Trump's much-advertised Golden Dome defense shield. Russia's ability to launch precise nuclear strikes against targets anywhere in the world, including within U.S. territory, is a source of pride at home. But let's be clear, Russia has no plans to attack Europe or the United States with this missile. Its nuclear doctrine is very specific. Russia would only use nuclear weapons in response to a nuclear attack or an attempt to destroy the Russian state with conventional weapons. In short, the burevestnik is a new Russian nuclear deterrent weapon, emerging amid the escalation of the Ukrainian conflict and the aggressive stance of NATO nations like France, Germany, and the UK, who act tough only because they're protected by the U.S. military umbrella. Otherwise, they wouldn't dare utter a single bold word, and everyone knows it. Despite the United States' massive destructive capacity, military experts now believe that Russia holds a strategic advantage. The burevestnik, together with intercontinental ballistic missiles like the RS-28 Sarmat, the land-based hypersonic Avangard, the air-launched Kinzhal, the sea-launched Zircon, and the submarine-launched Poseidon, capable of creating radioactive tsunamis, form a nuclear-capable arsenal designed to maintain strategic parity with the United States. Many analysts even say that Russia might hold superiority in a total war with NATO, because such a conflict would never remain purely conventional. It's believed that Russia developed these superweapons to prevent fears of a sudden, decisive blitz war by the United States, particularly in naval and air domains where the U.S. has traditionally held dominance. Because these Russian missiles can carry nuclear warheads, they give Russia a wide range of retaliatory options, but more importantly, they strengthen its power of deterrence. The nuclear arms race seems to have restarted, and mutual accusations are already flying. Let's remember that former U.S. President Donald Trump once claimed that during Barack Obama's administration, Russia stole information about a U.S. super missile in development, and that this is why Russia succeeded with its hypersonic weapons. Moscow responded that it was the Americans who tried to steal Russian technology and failed, and that the United States has not even managed to create a working hypersonic missile of its own. As of now, there's no Western equivalent to the Russian Burevestnik, a nuclear-powered missile capable of changing its flight path mid-course, staying airborne for hours while dodging all defenses and carrying nuclear warheads. To understand the fear this weapon inspires in Europe and the U.S., note that in America, it's been nicknamed the Flying Chernobyl or the Doomsday Weapon, because once launched, it's impossible to stop, and its nuclear impact would be catastrophic. In a recent article titled, "Is Putin Really a Paper Tiger?" the British newspaper The Sun compared Russia and NATO's nuclear and tank arsenals. Experts reached a sobering conclusion for NATO. Russia's power and Vladimir Putin's resolve must not be underestimated. Infantry remains the backbone of any fighting force, but the looming presence of nuclear weapons is always a game changer. Russia possesses the largest nuclear arsenal in the world, unmatched by any other power except the United States. During the Cold War, the U.S. peaked at over 31,000 warheads in 1967, while the Soviet Union reached more than 40,000 in 1986, enough to destroy the planet several times over. Today, Russia and the U.S. each maintain around 6,000 nuclear warheads. But judging by Russia's hypersonic weapons and the new Burevestnik missile, not to mention the Poseidon underwater missile capable of generating radioactive tsunamis and sinking entire islands like the UK, Russia clearly has the upper hand over all NATO countries, including the United States. Russia currently fields over 1.2 million active soldiers, while NATO collectively has over 3 million, but nearly half of those are American. The sheer scale of U.S. military spending eclipses that of all other NATO members combined. The massive American arsenal is the alliance's greatest asset, providing most of its weaponry, while the rest of the NATO lapdogs hide behind it. One of Donald Trump's biggest frustrations has been Europe's low military spending. For years, he's demanded that NATO members shoulder more of the financial burden. Under U.S. pressure, Europe has gradually boosted defense spending. In the past decade alone, European military budgets have increased by nearly $175 billion, a huge business opportunity for American arms manufacturers. The war in Ukraine has only intensified the old continent's rearmament push. Poland, which borders Ukraine and Belarus, Russia's ally, is at the forefront. It would be on the front line in any NATO-Russia conflict. That's why Poland has raised its defense spending from 2.2% of GDP in 2014 to 4.2% today, and still climbing. Neighboring Baltic states like Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia follow suit, but due to their small size, their military weight is negligible compared to Russia's. Amid claims of Russia's supposed stalemate in Ukraine, Trump called Russia a paper tiger. But Moscow reminded him that Russia isn't fighting just Ukraine. It's fighting all of NATO, which supplies Ukraine with weapons, money, mercenaries, and satellite intelligence. Russia hasn't waged a total war in Ukraine, largely to minimize civilian casualties, focusing instead on military and dual-use infrastructure. Yes, Russia's armed forces have weaknesses and flaws, but military analysts warn against underestimating either Russia's true, still largely untested, power, or Putin's determination to defend his country with teeth, claws, and nuclear weapons. Though Russia has suffered significant losses in Ukraine, a large part of its military, especially its air force and nuclear units, remains virtually untouched. That's why American experts remind Europe's desk warriors that the continent is defenseless against a massive Russian missile strike.